All right, welcome to Greg and Andy Unleashed. My name's Andy and this is Greg, just in case you guys forgot. And we have Nicole on the podcast with us, also known as Mrs. Barnes.
Yep.
So this is one podcast I've been looking forward to for a while, so I am so keen for it today. To kick things off, actually, guys, so on the last podcast, I said we need to get Greg a journal.
Oh.
So some of you guys commented, unfortunately I couldn't get a pink sparkly one or like a super colourful one, but I did find two different options. So I brought them along with me.
I didn't even know that.
So Greg, which of these ones? Hold them up for us, mate. That one. That's a nice colour. I'm liking the leaves on that one.
That is crazy.
It's pretty, spectacular. And there's another one. It's a bit more plain, a bit more ordinary. But which one would you like, mate?
Boy and girl, mate. That's
which one do we think, Nicole? Which do we think? Big pink one. Yeah, that's what I'm rating too, eh?
That matches your face, bro.
Yeah, that's actually facts. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Let me get rid of that one for you, mate. Pop it open. Show all the viewers how beautiful it is, mate. You've got a full page.
Look at this, bro.
That's just the showing you like the different months. Right? You've never used a journal in your life, have you? Alright, so he's got a full page to put down all of his different goals, all of his different to-do lists. So he should be able to do a lot of things like, doing the washing, cleaning the dishes. Yeah, right, I got you. What are some things that we could get Greg to do that we could put down in his journal, would you reckon, Nicole?
The fact that he got me to come on this show is going to cost him so much. But there's only so much pathetic crying you can take before you cave. Sorry, that's why I'm here today.
Is that right?
Because I've got enough Mrs. Barnes, please. Sorry.
Oh, man. Oh, well, there you go, guys. We got the
journal.
We got the journal for him.
Thanks,
so
mate.
We're hoping to see next week some stuff written down in it. So that'll be great.
It's secret, so you don't have to share.
Yeah, that's it,
Oh, you know what I should have got you? One of those ones that has the little lock on it. The little key lock, so he can write all these Dear Diary notes in there.
Except they all have the same key most of the time.
Yeah, true.
Recently Laura had them and you could unlock with basically anything.
I was just thinking unlocking. Interesting. Lock it back up.
Interesting.
Oh, fair enough.
There you go.
I'm sure Greg will have some spicy content in there. Alright, so Greg had a couple of questions. Mrs. Barnes.
I'll first introduce who Mrs. Barnes is to me. She is, for starters, Mrs. Barnes, because I treat her with respect. I got to call her by her real name.
Sorry, I meant to say Nicole.
She used to be my youth leader back in the day, and we go way back. I appreciate you coming on the podcast, although you didn't want to. But you're here now. I got you here. So make sure you guys show her a lot of support in the comment section. Let her know she did a good job. But that's it. She's been a good youth leader, and especially you and Mr. Barnes together. Yeah, been a big help to me and to all the youth really. So I guess it'd be good to get you on, talk about that. But firstly, how about you talk about yourself a little bit? What was it like growing up as Mrs. Barnes? As Mrs. Barnes.
Okay, first let's clear that up. It wasn't Mrs. Barnes growing up.
Yeah, true.
That's just too good of a question.
Well, I grew up with a mum and a dad and two sisters, and I lived through the 70s.
Wow.
Go the Brown
Was
Corduroy.
Was that the 1970s?
Oh, bro, what?
Oh, right.
70s, yes.
Yeah, okay, wow.
Wow.
Anyway, so I grew up in a house that was not Christian. We went to church. Dad never went to church. And basically the, good things, good people go to heaven kind of setup. And then but the kind of, I suppose, morals or standards that we had then, a lot of them kind of ran along with, different things in regards to marriage and how households ran, that kind of thing. And even just bringing up, the children and to have a lot of respect for parents and that kind of thing was just a given. And my grandparents, you would never blaspheme, or that was just
Wow.
a big no-no. If you did that, or like if you said, if you should, swear or something like that, even as an adult, that was like unacceptable,
So you weren't Christian, but you had a lot of Christian values, kind of thing.
That was kind of the.
Well, that was the norm back then.
That
Yeah,
was kind of
you're
the
right.
norm.
You're right.
That was kind of just the expected. But yeah, my grandparents, both my nana and my grandma, they both went to church like every week, a couple of times a week. But you got in big trouble if you blasphemed, especially like, just to sidestep for a second, when I was like, I'd ridden my bike all the way from Toowong, which is quite a distance, to Clayfield, made it safely, and then nearly died at the end of my Nana Street. Nearly got hit by a car. So I got upstairs, like, and I'm like, oh my, and then I blasphemed, and then I went, oh, sorry, and then I, did a tiny little swear word. And then I spent the rest of the time apologising to my Nana, because I nearly died.
Wow, there you go.
But yeah, so, we grew up like that, and then things like, my dad got sick when I was like 12, like quite ill, and he was, they thought he would die. And that kind of changed everyone's viewpoint, because it was like, well, here's this good person in the world's view, and, he's had this happen to him now, and he's going to die. And he was only 30.
Wow,
32.
so young.
Yeah, he was only 32, so that was obviously, very young. And so then it was like, there's no God.
Yeah.
Like, why is this happening if
Why
there's
would
no
God do this to me?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So then we pretty much stopped going to church, and
so you were going
that
to
kind of
church?
thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, we used to go every Sunday with Mum.
Okay.
I even so we went to a Lutheran church, and I did the confirmation classes.
Okay.
That you had to do a whole year of Bible study before you could get confirmed as such. And so we did that, and the old Good News Bible, which was... so we did that, and then we just basically stopped going to church, and were there is no God, and that kind of continued pretty much. Like, it wasn't like there was a continual rage, but it was just like, there is no God. Was there something else that I kind of held on to instead? No, I don't think so. Like, I didn't believe in... I wouldn't say I embraced evolution or anything like that. It was more just like nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't think about it too hard, kind of thing.
Yeah, that kind of thing, and just keep judging what is good, and that there is a different place to go to, but is God real? No, So, so then we just went along and moved out of home when I was about 18. I was a little bit of a boomerang child for a couple of years. Like, I'd leave, and then, like, roommates or whatever would change, and then I'd come home for like a month and then go, okay, I'm going again. So we just always referred to it as a boomerang. Cause, But so that was pretty much it. And then went overseas. I did I'm going to have a year off after I finished grade 12.
Gap year.
Yeah, the gap year continued year. That didn't happen, so I just went into hospitality work, which opened up my eyes to good things and lots of bad things, experiences that you don't really need, but and then went overseas, and for a year.
Where'd you go overseas?
Went to England first off.
Oh, yeah.
And then lived in London for about 5 months and worked in a bookstore there. And
yeah. What was that like?
That was good.
Yeah.
It was good. It's a little bit dreary, as in the weather.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And when I got there, I was like, and why are these people always so sad? And I'd be like bouncing around, and then after enough days of rain and sleet and all that, I too was like, this is my way to work. But so I did that, and then I saved up enough money there to go to Greece.
Oh,
so
nice.
then, we went to, we lived in Rhodes. I went with a girlfriend, and we lived there for about 6 months, doing nothing but beach, kind of hanging out at the beach. And
Is it like what's kind of like the weather over in Greece? Is it kind of
Greece
like
is just
hot?
nice. Like, it was great temperature.
Yeah, right.
I mean, years ago, but I still remember the water is like amazing.
Wow.
And we lived in the old section of roads.
Yeah.
And so we lived there for that long, and the people we lived in, it's called a pension, so it's kind of like a house, and they just rent out rooms. And we lived there, and up until the day we left, they never learnt our names, they just called us Australia. So we arrived before it was busy season, and all she used to yell out is Australia, Australia, Ella, which means come.
Yeah,
And that's it. We lived there for all that time, and we were just still Australia.
There you go. That's crazy. And so what made you move back? And so
well, just the time ended, and we just came back. It was
back to
time
Australia.
to come back, and just went back into the same job in hospitality, but then just got a promotion. But I think like mainly that lifestyle that I was living was obviously not like the right way to live. As we believe, and
so you spent all that, like you spent a fair bit of time like living like a worldly life, and then you come back to Australia. At what point did you start to, did something happen that made you consider God, or did someone talk to you? How did that all happen?
No, how that happened was many years later, because I didn't get saved till I was in my 30s.
Oh wow, true.
Yeah, so I was just living in the world for, I was in a previous kind of relationship that was for a long time, and then I started working when I was 30. I started working at managing a pizza restaurant, and that's where I met Mr. Barnes.
Oh, big Barnes.
Andrew. And he wasn't walking with the Lord at that time, but I mean that's his story to tell. But we just started being friends, and then when we started actually, going out, he wasn't walking with the Lord, and obviously I didn't even know him, and I actually. Like, we had spent a lot of time in my house, like, mocking, Christians.
Yeah,
like,
wow.
Just because how we, saw them. And and so when I met a few of Andrew's family, none of them that go to good church. I was, like, a little put off because they were intense.
Yeah.
And it was like, you want me to be this? Kind of thing, like, you're judging and you don't even... But that all rectified itself and everything before I even got saved. So we got married, and then we'd been married for a little while, and then Andrew said, like, he felt the whole time we were supposed to be back at church, but he didn't know how to take it because my view hadn't changed at all. God, at all. And then he just said to me, like, absolutely, this is the truth. He just said, I think we should go to church. And he was like, Lord, I don't know how Nick's going to take this. And I said, oh, yeah, okay.
Really?
Yeah. And like, that is totally the Lord. Because in all honesty, I can't think of anything that had changed. I mean, who knows what changed by testimony, just watching the family over the years. But, so we started looking for a church where I felt probably... It wasn't where I felt comfortable, but we ended up, I think, where Andrew was comfortable, but it was definitely the place for me. So we started going to a Wesleyan Methodist, and we'd been going for a while, like quite a few months. And, just they had this visiting pastor, and I was always believed that, like, when something bad happened, there's no God. Like, that was my whole theory, And then we had been trying to... have a baby, to get pregnant, and I found out that I was gonna need help, like need fertility to get pregnant, and normally that would be an automatic trigger for me, like, oh yeah, right, there we go.
Yeah.
But instead, like, we were in church that Sunday after I found out, and the visiting pastor there did an altar call, and I just, in my head, just went, nah, it stuck with me.
Yeah.
And I got saved that day.
Wow.
Yeah, and then, for us, it doesn't work like this for everyone, but for us, we then got pregnant the first.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, but yeah, that was it. And in my head, I just went, that's it. You stuck with me, Lord. I'm not backing out. And I got
that's amazing.
That day.
God.
So,
It's incredible.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Far out.
That's an incredible testimony,
Yeah, so then we just started the journey, and moved, like that was the right church. Like I have nothing bad to say about it at all, because it was the right place for me.
At the right time,
yeah. Absolutely. And we used to drive from Cooperoo to Kalanga, so like over 45 minutes drive to get there.
Wow.
But yeah, so we were there for quite a while, and then we didn't have a Sunday night service. So Jennifer Holowati would ask, would say to Andrew, oh, you know, why don't you come at night, you know, come to ours. And so we would come at night, and just, over time, we just found that every time we came here, something we were praying about or just had, you know, indecision on, the message that night would answer that.
Wow.
Like,
it's amazing.
It'd be like, okay, alright, we'll get in the car. It's like, that, like, is someone watching us kind of feeling.
Yeah.
But, no, we came for quite a while just on a Sunday night, and then in January of 2007, we made Good Shepherd our home. So, our home church, and then we've been there ever since.
That's crazy. There you go.
Yeah, so that's pretty much, and just grown, like we just, you know, lots of, have obviously grown a lot, but at the start there was a lot of, I probably kicked more, you know, because I'd spent longer and hadn't grown up in, so there was some things that I didn't want to give up so easily, and like, you know, it was things like music, like certain, because I loved, you know, to sing, and I loved music, and it was just like don't touch my CDs. CDs, they're little things like this.
I don't know what that is.
Pretty Spotify. So I had all my CDs and my music, and then we had, I can't remember, we'd been talking about it, and I was like, no. And then we had this message, I can't remember, it was someone, I can't remember who was here, because it wasn't the regular pastor, I think it was a visitor, and I just got in the car and went, fine.
Wow.
I get the hint.
Yeah.
And then, moved on from that.
Yeah, that's good though. So even when you got saved, you still had things that you struggled with, things that you had to work on.
Oh yeah. Of course. It's not
an instant change.
A certain part changes straight away.
Exactly.
And I mean, everyone's story is different, but mine was a real. I mean, like I said, I was in my 30s. You know, we had to change a lot of things. You know, and Andrew already had that background. Even if he hadn't been walking, it was still his background, where I didn't have that. So it was like.
Completely new, really fresh almost.
Look, I mean, this is gonna be controversial, probably. But even a little thing like, you know, submission, as in biblical submission. Yeah. And it was like, but I don't want to.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, don't you understand how I feel?
Yeah.
And not that there's a bug, but it was on things that were like, it was just me going, no, you don't understand. And it was really that I didn't understand God's way in it. Yeah. Where Andrew did. Like, for tithing was one for me.
Yeah, right.
Because I would look at it. This is, I'm talking, this is back in 2007 when we had, so we'd only had Reese and we were here, and it was, and I was like, I can't afford, you know how people say that? But you can't afford to tithe because I've got this to pay. And we always tithe, but we didn't tithe minimum. Even the minimum, you know, but we always did give, but because I do those kind of the finances, and I'd be like, oh no, if this bill comes up, man, we're like, you know. And then little things just kept happening, and then I just, you know, Andrew's like, you just got to trust. It's not in us. You got to trust in the Lord. And then God just kept showing me, like, without me. But like, I remember we had this bill, because we went down to one income when, you know, it was our choice that I stayed home to bring up the girls. And we had this bill, and I didn't know how we were going to pay it. And I was like, and then like we got this refund that we didn't even know we were due, and to the cent.
Wow.
To the cent, it paid the bill.
You know what? Like, that's what I'm saying. It's so cool to see, like, because I always hear about these like miracle stories from missionaries or people that come and visit, you know, like these super Christians, but like God still works like that even with your average Joe. You know what I mean? Like just the people that follow him. It's crazy. I'm not calling you an average Joe.
What he's trying to say, I can see that coming from a mile away. What he's trying to say is, from people that they've just joined, you know, they just started coming to church, you know, growing, etc. That's what he's trying to say. I got you, bro. I got you.
And then we had such generosity. We were so blessed when we came here, and you know, like I came and we're here for a couple of months, and then we had Reese, and people who didn't even know me would like, and for me it was a real pride thing, like a huge pride thing, which is something you need to deal with, or God will just keep doing things until you like. That's in all honesty, I was just like so proud. To me, it was a handout if you got given stuff, because I'd never been in that situation before, and like what happened is God just kept making it bigger in some ways, but until I was just like, you know what, just humble yourself, because what you're doing is robbing that person of a blessing, even if you don't know who that person is. When you act like, oh look, they just took pity on us, which is not the case at all.
That's the pride.
Yeah, but that was the pride speaking. Yeah. And you know, there was things that happened along the way. I mean, like your family blessed us continually with, you know, meat and that kind of stuff over the years. I remember, you know, your dad we'd go over there and your mum would give us stuff and your dad would give us meat, and I'd tell him like, put it in little 500 gram bags, and the girls were really little, and he's like, what, 500 grams each person? No. 500 grams between all of us and leftovers. And he's like, whoa, 'cause obviously he had all of you. But yeah, we just got, and you know, there was even things like when you get something and you go, like, we went to Canberra for 6 weeks Andrew filled the pulpit there for 6 weeks, and in the offering someone gave us, you know, like, I don't know, about $1,500, and I was like, oh wow, that's like, and then the very next day we had to get all our tyres replaced before we could go to Canberra, and in my thinking in the flesh, I was like, why do we get it and then lose it? Yeah. And then Andrew goes, if we hadn't been blessed with that, we would not have. Oh yeah, good point.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't want logic. Don't give me. Yeah. So I mean, just things like that, and it even, God just literally just kept doing. And this isn't how it always works, but just I think for me to beat my pride down, God just had to make some things a bit like, to the point where I had a bill. We had a mix up that happened, and we had a bill that was just we were paying off, and I knew that the first person that found out about it would pay it. Yeah. So I purposed to never even broach the subject. Yeah. And then one day we were offhand conversation, just like chatting like we are now. Yeah. We never had a problem with, you know, like, Centrelink, they've been really kind, that's who it was with. And I said, I never complain because it's this, you know. And like, we're just paying off this, and straight away the person said to me, how much is it? No, we're fine. Like, we're fine. I don't need, and I'm just like, and so it's like, alright, be grateful, accept people's blessings, and stop being so proud.
Yeah, wow.
So,
that's good advice though. And it's hard, especially, I mean, as a young guy, you think you rule the world, you know, so it's hard to, like for me personally, to have the same thing, you know, to stay humble is hard, but it's definitely something we need. What are your thoughts on that, Andy?
Yeah, 100%. I love that point with like actually accepting the blessing, and like if you don't take it, oftentimes you're robbing that person of an actual blessing, which like God's going to bless them just for having that heart of giving to you or to us, like whoever it is, right? And that's something that I think is so key, is actually receiving. Obviously, it's more blessed to give than to receive, but I think we don't let other people be blessed by them giving. We're not following it because sometimes we don't want to receive it, because then it shows up that, hey, we're not perfect, or we don't have everything, or we don't, you know, this and that. So that was such a key point right there.
Like I said about the food, and we had, you know, people that would just, if we needed a hand with the girls, or, you know, something like that, especially, you know, in ministry, those kind of things, like, it's not always, I mean, that finance was something that I was more proud in, so I think that's why I talk about that. But you know, a blessing is anything. A blessing is showing up at the door with a cake, or you know, like that kind of thing. Are you home? Cake is being delivered.
Yeah,
we had that just recently.
Oh, wow,
so cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah, so just, you know, it doesn't. It's the kind words. It's the text messages. It's all that stuff as well. And even if you wouldn't think to, sometimes you go, oh man, I haven't done that to anyone. But that's not what it's about. That's what God put on that person's heart at that time, and that is for you to be blessed by that. So
That's good. Nah, I love that. Another subject I'd like to bring up is, again, as I was saying, you were my youth leader for many years. What made you get into youth? Were you always interested in, like, had a heart for kids, or how did that all begin?
Well, how it began was Andrew wanted to be a part. He was already working at church, but he wanted to be part of ministry. Like, you know, just kind of, you know, he was interested in that, and it was brought up that the Haycocks was, you know, stepping down, and so they said, oh, do you want to, you know, would you be interested? And I immediately, which is so wrong, don't do this, I immediately was like, I have nothing to offer.
Yeah,
like, just myself. Andrew, you're a legend. But which is wrong, because God doesn't give us that spirit of, you know, that's the devil that puts those words into us, you know, like that makes us think on things that aren't true. And so I was like, all right, fine, I'll just go. Andrew's going, I'll go.
Actually,
but it was a blessing.
I want to just pause on that point. What advice would you have to someone that does have self-doubt, or they have like a bit of like that sort of like feelings towards themselves? How do you cope with that, if that's something you struggle with? Or
I think, well, you've got to like look at you know, verses in the Bible, and you've got to read that you know, the like whatever thoughts are, you know, lovely, and that, you know, think on those things. But if it be of, you know, ill report, is it?
I think so,
then, you know, they're not from God, and that, you know, God doesn't want you to feel, I mean, he'll convict you, but he doesn't want you to feel bad. He doesn't want you to, and these challenges come up, so you can, but I mean, it's hard. It's hard when you think like that. It's hard, like, but
especially in the moment, you know.
And you're judging. It's the worst thing you can do, I think, is peg yourself against someone else, because that person offers something completely different. You know, like in each youth leader over the years, and the ones that are taking out, you know, are in place now, are for that season, which is why, you know, we retired this year. Is that what you say? Step down, retired. But for me, like, once I got in there, I was sold. Like, I was started working in the school, so I had my teenage overload. I started in
and
primary.
your Greg overload as well.
Yeah, Greg overload. All the whole bodies. So Greg is off my. They always ask me, all the whole body boys. Maybe not Sam so much, but definitely Josh. Who's my favourite? Who's my favourite? Come on, I'm your favourite. And like, no.
Oh, what?
No, I'm not allowed to have favourites.
All right, we'll end the show right there, guys.
I can't have favourites. I love them all.
Oh, that's good.
But yeah, no, I just really had a heart for them, and just, it's like watching. I don't know. You're given this blessing of being able to have these hearts for a couple of hours, but it just doesn't end on that Friday night. And like, you can like vouch for that in the fact that, you know, we've continued
exactly
to have, you know, and lots of the youth, and even when they've left, they'll still contact me if they're not even at this church anymore, you know. I'll hear from them. But I just think it was, once I got over myself, and I think once you get over yourself in general, and you know what, if you just reach one person, if you connect with one person, then that's one person that God wanted you to connect with.
Yeah, that's so true.
But I just, like, you know, you get frustrated. But the best thing was that
And
the best thing was because Greg cheats. So no, in games. Actually, so does Josh. So did
I just
Jamie.
stretch the rules, man. I stretch the rules. You know?
Stretch the rules. Yeah, that's it.
we find the rules that weren't mentioned.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Don't be a Greg. Just saying we brought up. But yeah, no. I always really. A lot of kids at that time went to the school.
Yeah.
And I worked at the school, and they also came to youth. But God always allowed it that during the day I could go, "You're in trouble," and then on Friday night it was like, "We don't even care."
Yeah, that's true.
You know, so that was good, and lots of I just think it's been I've learnt a lot from all of the youth as well over the years, and then watching them grow and graduate. It's like you've had, I don't know how many youth have been through in the years we've been doing it, but it's like watching all your babies grow. And then they graduate and you're like, and I sit there, there's another lot. And then, the next step is watching them get married, etc. But, yeah, no. But, yeah, a lot of conversations on the side of the basketball court.
Wait, who's that?
Which were, over the years, heaps.
Oh, yeah. Wait, you talking about me?
You were also, it wasn't just you, it was girls when they did play the games.
Yeah,
it was spending time with them, and then at youth camp.
Youth camps are good.
Great. Camp brings out a totally different animal in me. And I do have competitive issues at youth camp.
That's true.
If you ask Lisa George, when a pool noodle is in my hand, it's all over. Even Pete's scared.
Oh my goodness.
But,
That's true, it's true.
Yeah, so I have been told to calm down by Andrew. And taken the loss. Thankfully we won on our last camp, but we did, have an unfair loss, but that's just putting that out there.
Actually, yeah, what was the goal for the last camp? I remember hearing very good things about that. I heard there's some really good, especially one of the last nights or something. It was a really good time spiritually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was the old campfire. The last night, and all the reels and memes and everything are actually true. You're absolutely smashed tired, and you don't look like the same day you left. You look like you've aged 100 years. But the best things, there was at camp last year, people were saved, people made, rededicated. There was just a real time testimony. Time just kept going on and on and on. It was really, there was tears. There was all that, kind of stuff as well, and it's all real. It's not like the show. It's not a show, and especially after the last. I mean, teenagers come in all different shapes and sizes, and some are, and others are like, and. It's just watching that change over the time, and even over the years that you're with them, but especially over camp, just as you watch God touch them, you watch the relationships, mix, because you get put into teams with a couple of friends, but you're not in with your whole friendship group. So just it was really good, and it was a good way to, I suppose, finish up. Which was a bit sad. It was hard. It was hard to, and it still is, next Friday night's our first Friday. Yeah. With no youth, and it's like.
Yeah, wow, that'll be interesting.
Friday? Is it this Friday? No, this Friday.
Friday, yeah.
This Friday, I'm like, so.
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? Wait till Reese gets her license, and then we won't even have to drive them.
Oh, so you have to drop them off, and then that's gonna be hard.
I know, harsh.
Yeah.
No, but it's it's been really good, man. There's so many stories, seriously, over the years, embarrassing stories. Andrew lost his wedding ring stories.
Oh yeah, tell me about that actually.
You were at that camp.
Yeah, I think we were all searching for a very long time, eh?
Yeah, slip and slide. All the things that are
all the game stuff, man.
Yeah, workplace health and safety. That kind of stuff doesn't exist in years ago in youth camp. And so, the slip and slide, and then Andrew realises that his wedding ring's gone missing, and all the the youth like doing, you know, like the walk, like the police search.
Yeah.
Walk. The guy who owned the campsite has a what do you call it? Metal detector.
Oh,
He's
wow.
out there.
Yeah. Wait,
But
where'd it go?
We never found it.
Oh.
Never.
Where do you think it went?
I
In
don't
that
know.
grass?
Yeah, it's got
Far out.
swallowed. No, I don't know where it went. I'm not
There you
sure.
go. That's very sad.
Yeah, so I think that just being in the ministry, in any ministry, and like obviously, you know, served in catering ministry.
Yeah, you have.
Since 2007.
Yeah, wow.
Since we came here, like you're yeah.
How is that experience? Because yeah, you got to serve food for a lot of people.
And it's always like great.
Yeah, I've never had bad food.
I honestly,
That's
if it's
so
like
true.
lunch, I'm like, I'm totally full. And even at like a morning teas, I'm like, half the time I just eat my breakfast here.
Oh,
like,
that's
Yeah.
so true. That's so true.
Yeah. Or people come and burn their mouths
On pies, yeah.
Yeah, on pies in the kitchen because they can't wait. No, it's been good. I'll be completely like transparent. I haven't always. You get worried.
Yeah.
And now it's different, but years ago it was a ministry where no one wanted to really.
No one wanted to do it, eh?
Yeah, no one wants to do the dirty or you know that kind of it's like cleaning ministry. People aren't running around going
Yeah, let's go clean. Yeah.
yeah.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
But we always had that's the thing. We always had the best fun. Like we
true.
honestly did everything we did. Like at the start it was crazy, but yeah, and I just used to wear Reese because she was only a few months old in a baby carrier. There's like we found photos the other day of me like washing up and in the kitchen with a child strapped.
That's insane though, eh?
So yeah, but like God gave us for ourselves, like and like everyone's different, but God gave us the children that were right for parents in ministry. And we tried our hardest not to take advantage of the fact that they were easy, in inverted commas, And Andrew was always very careful when they were younger to say, like, don't get them burnt out being here. You don't want to get them a bad. And I mean, they've both got a heart to serve. So they have ministries themselves. So thankfully we didn't, like, kill them. Even if they did, and they were little, like, kind of fall asleep on pews well after church was finished.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's been good, and now under Azariah, she's really developing, taking on the ladies ministry and ministering to the ladies. So it's been good to come alongside her with some other ladies and be on that and organise like the ladies fellowships and even visitations.
Yeah.
Along the way. Sorry. But so that's somewhere where I'd like to head now.
Yeah.
I'd like to spend time like visiting people who, or even just encouraging, just even the younger, like the ladies that are either married or not married, have children, just like do those kind of fellowship, type things as well as encouraging them.
Does it sound so funny, but
I don't know, maybe it's your accent. I don't know.
but what's my accent? With serving, like let's say other young ladies, this and that. What advice? This was something like bring it all the way back, kind of to the start. How you were talking about how you grew up. You're living in the world. This and that. What kind of advice would you have? It can be general or more specific. Let's say to young ladies or, let's say girls becoming young ladies. What advice would you have for them in regards, maybe it's just like a general life advice for, maybe it's either ones that are saved, that might see this and they're kind of just like, let's say, in the world, or maybe it's ones that, because obviously people might see this, that they're unsaved, and they're obviously just in the world. What kind of advice would you have?
Well, I think that having obviously lived in the world for a long time and not lived, as you want, I think that you want to minimize whether, and an unsaved person may not see it like this, but a Christian who's grown up or even been saved for a few years, you want to have the least amount of stuff that the devil can bring back to your mind. So, like, keeping yourself, like, from a lady's point of view, okay, I think there's a lot to be said for keeping yourself for your husband.
Sure.
And there are things, no matter how many years I've been saved now, there are things like my family, I'm the only Christian in my family.
Wow.
And it's got better with one sister, but it's very, like, volatile. And they have a filing cabinet, I call it, where it's all the things you've done over the years before you were a Christian. And all of a sudden the filing cabinet, like, flings open and they go, oh, well, what about when you... And so my thing is just to try and keep your testimony once you are saved, but seriously think about your decisions, whether you're saved or not saved, because there's carry on from all of it, but the least amount that God, once you're saved, God has forgiven you for those, but sometimes it's hard for you to take time to forgive yourself. And those things, I've had that, things will come back and I'll be like, I can't believe that.
Yeah.
And that's the devil doing. That's not God giving me that. He's washed that. But yeah. So I just always say, we're not perfect. And like and the unsaved, like over the years, my mum and has said things like, for a so-called Christian. This has been the very early days, like back in 2007. So-called Christian, but what they see Christian as is like what we're going to be in heaven.
Yeah.
But that's not reality. But that's what they see because they put it on themselves that, they start judging themselves.
Exactly.
You don't judge them. So I would just say, like, especially with self-esteem, things like that, don't, like, when you start feeling a certain way that, or you're feeling pressured by, school or kids at school, like, just how you feel about yourself is such a slippery slope. And it can continue. It can, like, doesn't matter how old you are, there's, it can still come. And I think it's just finding the right support. But if you're a Christian, it's just taking God's word as what it is, as truth. And, God's, if you're walking the right way, like, God doesn't care if you have, like, curly hair.
Whoa, my goodness, that was just great.
There's so much humidity.
That's just great.
But yeah, just I think it's just self-esteem is such a big thing.
Yeah.
And it can hold you back from so much.
Yeah.
That God has for you, and just so much in general at times. But where you could go forward, where like even things over the years, like even like going out on your mission trips and stuff like that. That would have been, somewhere where you would have gone, oh, I wouldn't be, what could I do? Like, what could I do? And now, like, you're always thinking about your next.
Yeah, exactly.
And going to TNS and having fun, but going to TNS, like all of you young adults, and coming back, like, to see fruit from that. Bringing, fruit back from that. So, yeah. Yeah,
it's true. I got another question for you I was thinking about just before. So you were saying before when the catering, you can go through, it can get very tiresome, it can get very repetitive. Like it can, like, the Christian life is not going to be easy, I mean? It's going to be a lot of the mundane, but for you, say if a young person they're living this life, say they've grown up in church, right? And they're saying, man, this is so, like, I'm just doing the same thing every week, I'm just following the rules. I want to go and, like, taste the world. What would your advice to them be? As someone that's been in the world and experienced that, as well as not,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. And I mean, like, I've had that conversation with some, and you can only tell them, like, why, I suppose, why not to? Like, in the end, it's that you can give them all the, this is why not, and let's find a balance if what is bothering you at church, and let's find. But sometimes, as hard as it is, and, like, I haven't had to deal with that as a parent yet, but I've watched youth, or I've watched other, and, like, it's heartbreaking from someone who's not even in the family. to watch, that person step away. But I think I think you just got to kind of also tell them, like I say, you just want to have the least amount. If you're a Christian who walks away and you're truly saved, then you're always saved. That can't change, but you got to, God will find a way to get you back.
Yeah.
It can be that easy, or it can be a rough road, but you'll learn from that. Like, I used to think, I wish I had been saved when I was young, or I'd grown up in a Christian home, but then the amount of things I've been able to talk to people about, or the youth, or guys, it's not exactly what you think, or I think it's a blessing. And you can say to people, like, okay, you get upset about being in church 3 days a week, but you know what, you have the blessing of having 2 parents that are saved, and who have invested in you, and a church that's invested in you. And it's all people have, everyone's taken time out, to be with our kids, or to help them grow, or talk to them, or that kind of thing along the road since they were little. And that's a blessing that you get from being in a good biblical church. But I just think that don't focus on how great it is on the outside, because it's really not, but just focus on what we can do here. What would you serve in, or what could you be a part of that would make you...
It's more of like a heart issue at the end of the day.
Yeah,
it's not really about what has the church done against me. It's more, I think most of the time it will be that, especially when you're young and curious. It's really hard to, and everyone's on their own journey, so they just want to experience their own truth. So I get that aspect of it. But
it is very much hard, and it's a hard issue as an adult. But it is a hard issue, and it's deciding. And it's also that mentality when you're younger, you've got to make sure that it's not I'm giving up so much by doing this. Because the world will do that. All the fun stuff will be on a Sunday. It's the rest, all the sporting is on a Sunday. There's a lot of decisions people have to make. It is what it is, and for a season that the world doesn't want you to be free on those times.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Oh, that's good.
So, you've had jobs, haven't you, where they've said work Sundays, or you've had to, discuss not working Sundays. And it's not oh yeah, that's great. Yeah, so I just kind of would say that it's not all you think it's going to be on the outside, for want of a better word.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good advice.
Yeah.
Oh, I appreciate that. Well, I like it, man. That was good. Really good.
That was absolute fire. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was so. I really enjoyed hearing some of those stories, and just to obviously kind of finish up we had when they did the little presentation for you guys. What was it now? Probably a couple months ago now. But obviously I've only known you guys for a little bit, but very heart touching to really see how much of an impact these guys have had in the young people's lives here. It was just massive encouragement to me. It was just very obvious to see the amount of an impact that you've had in the young people's lives. And Greg can obviously testify to that for himself. So he made quite a good comment on the on the.
But he was just thinking, if I know Mrs. Barnes and Mrs. Barnes knows me, then everyone else would
Yeah, exactly. So no, that was an absolute testimony just to how much of an impact you and Barnesy have had with the youth. So definitely we appreciate that, and Greg can obviously testify to that. So it's been awesome to have you on the podcast today. So
way better than I thought.
Yes.
I was so nervous.
You killed it. Yeah.
So guys, don't forget to go ahead and subscribe. We're getting close to that 100 mark. So guys,
comment
please.
A thumbs up if you enjoyed that. Maybe.
Yeah.
Get it for numbers.
That's it, 100%, guys. Greg, I'm expecting you to use your journal there, guys. So if you'd like to, you can feel free to comment below what Greg should be writing in his journal as well. So that'd be great. Thank you again, Nicole.
Thank you for having me.
For coming on the podcast. Guys, it's Greg and Andy Unleashed.